What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're back working on the drift car. In the last video, if you didn't see it, we installed these sweet oil pans on here. So got those on, and like I said, turbo was blown, so I ordered another one. I've actually got it here. We're gonna start putting it on. So here we have our new Spinny Boy turbo. Now it's a ISR 3871 journal bearing turbo. Should be at about 10 psi boost with this wastegate spring and everything on here. The exhaust housing is a 0.64, so should be good to go with that. Nissan 4-bolt turbo metal gasket to replace. I got this adapter for the oil pan. It's a -10 AN to a 1/2 NPT adapter, so I can put the turbo drain on that new oil pan we put on. And also have manifold gaskets, and look at that, made in Japan. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and bust this turbo and manifold off. I've got to take these AN lines off. I've got a coolant line here, an oil drain down here, and back in here we've got coolant and oil feed. And then we will take these nuts off right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just take the manifold and turbo, just try to take it off all together. And then I'm actually gonna fix an issue with these keep backing out, so we will talk about that in a second once I get it off, what we're gonna do there. Stay tuned. All right, so we got the turbo and manifold off, got them separated, old turbo, new turbo. The Tomei elbow off, gasket looks pretty good. This gasket, not so much. It was starting to crack and leak a little bit, so glad we got another one of those. So like I said, these studs that I've had an issue with backing out at the track and causing a terrible exhaust leak right here, and I had to keep tightening them up, and the studs were backing out. So what I think I'm gonna do is take the MIG welder, and I've already cleaned all of these and put them back in. I'm just gonna weld a little tack on each one of them to hold it in just enough. I think just one little tack weld will be good, and then if in the future if I have to take them out, I can just cut that tack weld off. So that's what we're gonna do now. What I'm gonna do is take my little torch here and preheat this cast manifold a little bit. I think it should help it melt in a little better. All right, got some nice tacks on these studs. They melted in rather nicely. Now it's kind of hard to see, but I don't think they're going anywhere. So now we're going to get our new gasket out, and it goes right here, and we're going to start bolting the new turbo on and swap out. We've got some fittings to swap out. We're going to do that now. Making progress. Got the turbo mounted to the manifold. Got all our fittings, got the drain and the coolant fitting, turbo elbow back on. Put some new studs and locking nuts on there. Looking good. Coming back over to the engine, getting ready to slap this thing together. We got our new gaskets on here, and I've installed the adapter on the oil pan. This is the MPT to AN adapter for the turbo drain. So now this is our coolant line right here that we've got to reconnect, and then here's the other coolant and oil that we have to reconnect. So now we're gonna slap this turbo back on and get this thing back in the car. We're going to torque the nuts on the manifold to 27 foot-pounds. At least the ones I can get to with a torque wrench. The others just got to go on feel because you can't get it in there. All but 3 it looks like. We'll do these top ones good and tight. Got the turbo mounted up. We have one more thing we got to do before we put it back in the car. And that is, got this turbo drain here, and it actually moved the location on this new pan. Looks like we need to shorten this about 2 inches to get that to fit right. I'm gonna take this line back off and show y'all how to shorten this AN line. Okay, for those of you that have not messed with AN fittings or made them before, I'll give you a little rundown on how you do it, or how I'm gonna shorten this one. So I've got these soft jaws in the vise, and you clamp it on the bottom collar. And to take this apart, this is reusable. So that's the good thing about the AN line. You can reuse the fitting as many times. So what we'll do is unscrew this one. Once you go so far, it's loose enough to unscrew it by hand. Okay, so this is your 90-degree -10 fitting. Set that to the side. Take this out of the vise. So now you have the hose with this collar on. This is reverse thread inside here that screws onto the hose. So all you do is unscrew this right off the hose. Just like so. Okay, so got your hose. This is what we are going to cut about 2 inches shorter, and that will make our entire AN line here about roughly 2 inches shorter, and it'll fit right. So now I've marked out my hose. I know it's hard to see here. Took a Sharpie, marked about 2 inches, and pretty good hose cutters like this. Find your mark and it'll cut through the entire thing for the most part. Okay, so got a pretty decently cut there. The rubber hose is straight at least. So now you can kind of tuck it in and thread it on. Once you get it started, just thread it. Take you a look inside, see that it's going down. Thread it down until the hose is almost to the top threads for the fitting. So now we have the collar threaded on and the hose threaded all the way to the bottom of the inside threads there. So how this works is you thread the collar on and you have your fitting that has threads, and it actually pushes down in there and you thread it in, squeezes the hose between this collar and the fitting, and that's what makes a super tight seal. And what I like to do is take a little bit of oil and put on the hose so it helps slide on this. Got our little oiler here. We'll just take, and I just like to put a little dab and rub a little right here. Okay, now we will install this back into the vise here to hold it tight. You just clamp down. It ain't got to be super tight, just enough to hold it. These are normal threads, not reverse threads. So you'll see it slide into the hose, and then you start to thread and hold pressure on your hose so it won't push it down, and you'll thread this in. Sometimes what I do is put a little Sharpie mark right here so you can see if it moves or not. We'll take our adjustables, thread this down almost flush, but you do want a little bit of air gap because that's just the proper way to make these. And the OCD in me always wants to line up the corners right here so it looks nice and tidy. And there we have it. All right, got it back on the engine, and man, it came out perfect. That is all it needed. Good to go on there. We will take our AN wrench and go ahead and snug this up, and snug this one up right here. That completes. All the lines are back on. Turbo is back on. We are set to set this thing back in the car. So let's do it. guys, this pretty much wraps up the engine install. We've got a couple of things we're waiting on until we can start it. I've got a new O-ring coming for this fitting right here, the O-ring cracked and it started leaking fuel. Also have a new cartridge filter for this. That's the fuel filter. I figured we'd go ahead and replace it while I'm, you know, freshening everything up. So I'm excited to see the new Spinny Boy in here, the new turbo that doesn't leak, and excited to see if our oil temps stay down at the track with the new oiling system. And if we come around back, I'll actually show you the new exhaust I got. It's an ISR single exit instead of the two 4-inch pipes that were, you know, making it sound like a dang trumpet. So this is like a little turn down, 4-inch turn down there. Looks pretty nice. It should sound a lot better now. Other than that, I've got to put the shifter back in and put some fluids in it. And we will be ready to start this baby up and check for leaks and make sure everything is good to go. Alright guys, hope y'all enjoyed this video of the upgrades we've done to the drift car and getting it back together. We are about a month out from the first drift event of the year. I'm ready to get back on the track. I'm excited. It's been too long, and I'm definitely going to be filming at the track when we go to make some awesome content, and it'll be a little bit better than me just, you know, putting together a car. So I'm ready for some action myself. Hope you guys are. So if you like the video, please like it and subscribe if you hadn't. I really appreciate it, all the support I've gotten so far. So stay tuned for more videos. See y'all next time.